he could have left the kids in the apartment, I guess. And I would imagine with a 10-year-old, it's not ideal. But again, if you don't have babysitting resources, you don't have family, you don't have a cooperative baby's mama or whatever you got going on, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, at the end of the day, as a parent, you need to feed these kids, and you need to pay the bills for them. And so, for him to go to a job interview, assuming it was relatively brief and nearby, like, I'm not classifying this guy in a category of strict parental neglect, based on this alone. Now, if there's some additional information. I mean, if the kids, are left there and the kids are like kind of a mess, like they don't look like they've eaten very much, or they didn't look cared for or washed, or those basic sort of nurtured things, like this takes on a whole different element. And I feel, I think he's got a lot more to answer for in that way.
Because this went trending like a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
So you got the Georgia dad busted for leaving kids 1-year-old, 6-year-old, and 10-year-old solo at McDonald's during job interview. Okay, cops say. Now I have this this press reading here. So let's get to it. Okay. So you got some NFL players, too. Antonio Brown, other things that are getting behind this, trying to start a GoFundMe for this guy.
For the guy? Okay.
Yeah. So
he's not going to send him a bag of dicks?
So apparently Chris dropped off his kids. Chris is 24 years old, by the way. Dropped off his 3 kids.
Sorry, he got a 10-year-old?
Huh?
He's 24. He's got a 10-year-old?
I'm reading.
This guy was.
I'm reading this thing, man.
This guy was.
It says Chris Lewis, 24, dropped off his kids at a McDonald's.
This guy might never have been introduced to a condom in his whole life.
Yeah, somebody needed a young mentoring program. Shout out to MOI.
Yeah. Get a Georgia branch going.
Get a Georgia branch going. At a McDonald's with an indoor play place on March 22nd. Okay. So really another guy snitched on him, right? So a fellow patron at McDonald's who was dining with his family noticed that the kids were unattended, so he called the police. Okay, now when Lewis returned to McDonald's around 6:18, officers took him into custody. He was later charged with deprivation of a minor. Lewis told authorities that he had walked to the restaurant with his children from his apartment, but he didn't want to make them walk back while he was at a nearby job interview. It just says nearby, doesn't say how far or whatever.
Exactly.
But it had to be walking distance because Chris, he stated that he does not have a car.
Right.
Okay. He says that he told the police officer that he frequently leaves them alone. Oh no, the 10-year-old. The 10-year-old told the officer that her father frequently leaves them alone. That's not good. Don't snitch on your dad. We don't talk to Popo. All right, and then Child Protective Services was notified, and then an incident report was made. And then you got all of the NFL people and famous people like Tonio says, story caught me by surprise. A dad just trying to find a way to make some money for his family. I know he shouldn't just leave his kids, but some people don't have the means for babysitting, etc. All right, so what's your take on this? This is tough.
It is tough. The reality is, if this guy is unemployed or desperate for work, he could have left the kids in the apartment, I guess. And I would imagine with a 10-year-old, it's not ideal. But again, if you don't have babysitting resources, you don't have family, you don't have a cooperative baby's mama or whatever you got going on, like, what are you supposed to do? Like, at the end of the day, as a parent, you need to feed these kids, and you need to pay the bills for them. And so, for him to go to a job interview, assuming it was relatively brief and nearby, like, I'm not classifying this guy in a category of strict parental neglect, based on this alone. Now, if there's some additional information. I mean, if the kids, are left there and the kids are like kind of a mess. Like they don't look like they've eaten very much, or they didn't look cared for or washed, or those basic sort of nurtured things. Like this takes on a whole different element. And I feel, I think he's got a lot more to answer for in that way. But if these kids are otherwise normal kids, they look clean, they look cared for, they look like they've, been eating normal, and he does this, it's not ideal, but he didn't have a lot of options.
Yeah.
And the reality is, I know kids can be taken from a public spot, but he either leaves them at home in the apartment or he leaves them there. It's a tough call. I mean, I don't know what you do. I mean, do you find a guy that already needs a job? I mean, is that going to help anybody? If these kids are essentially cared for and this was an isolated thing, I don't think there should be any sort of crazy penalty to this. But if there's other facts that suggest the kids aren't cared for, that raises some other issues. But again, it's tough to say, because it's like what type of situation is this guy in that he's got nobody to help?
Yeah.
Like that there's not one person that could, come by his place and watch the three kids for, an hour or two, or that he could drop the kids to, that they could watch for an hour or two. I mean, obviously he's got three kids. He apparently has an apartment. He doesn't have a car. I mean, he's already kind of limited. It's not like he could have, driven them anywhere as far as that goes. But it people are in tough situations, and maybe this situation needs a little sympathy. Maybe, instead of needing to have raise funds for him to fight this charge or whatever this is, maybe sort of get some funds to get him a car.
Yeah.
Maybe that's going to help him and help these kids more.
Yeah. Now, there's been further investigation done on this that I'm reading now, and actually it was just released today, a few hours ago. And now they don't believe that he was actually at the interview.
Okay.
That's what was just reported. So they actually went to the place that he says he had the interview, and he did have the interview, but the timing is way off. So the lady who interviewed him provided like the video footage that they have and that has timestamps on it. They also asked, like, will he be receiving a call back? And she just said, no, not at all.
Okay.
And so,
didn't go well.
He got to update his interviewing skills. But yeah, so basically, it just says that during the time that he says he was at the interview, he was actually walking. So I still don't know whether that's good or bad. I mean, that's all it says here. That in between that time he was walking.
On all this, you need, like, specific timelines matter.
Yeah.
Like, you look at it and it's like, okay, well, if it's a 15-minute walk to the interview and you're probably not, ushered right into the interview when you arrive there, and there's, and then the interview is whatever it is, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and then there's walk time back. Again, there's a whole lot of questions that are unanswered. Now, credit to whoever's investigating this, that they're doing that type of work and piecing together a timeline, that hopefully, kind of makes some sense and brings some light to this, as far as that goes. Now, I do want to say, so he was apparently reported by another parent.
Yeah.
So, I will say this. I mean, put yourself in the position of you're in that McDonald's, you see this dad with three kids, and you see the dad leave, and you see the kids stay, and a couple minutes pass. Like, this guy didn't just run to his car or run to do, whatever. He's not here. Like, I don't think it's unreasonable to call the police and figure out what the hell's going on.
Yeah.
It's different, again, maybe he frequents the McDonald's. Maybe he knows, somebody that works there, and he's, like, hey, I've got this interview. I'm going to be gone an hour tops. Is it okay if the kids are here? Can you keep an eye on them? If something like that's done, which we don't know if it is or isn't.
Right.
But, I mean, if all that other dad had was the information, like, I see this guy, I see these three kids, now I don't see the guy anymore, and maybe 5 minutes has passed, what's what? Like, I don't have an issue with that guy calling the police, figuring things out.
No, I don't. I just, if things are smelling foul there, then I understand. You got to do what you got to do. Apparently, the mother of the 10-year-old is in the picture. She was actually the girl actually called her mom or messaged her on social media, she says. And there was confusion about he was walking to go get a backpack from her that they had needed from the mother.
Okay.
And he walked to go get it. And then she told him that she couldn't watch the kids. He had to take the kids. So that is the reason why. Like she, that particular day, there was no way, even though she was home, that she could not get the kids.
Yeah, that's pretty shitty on her part.
So I don't know, but maybe there is a chance now this guy just doesn't ever have his stuff together.
Yeah.
And she's been trying to work with him, but and then this job interview, maybe she doesn't believe him. I don't know. There's different things.
But if you,
man.
At the end of the day, if you present me with a scenario that either I watch my own kid, even though I'm busy or got something else going on, or there's a chance that this guy who never has his shit together is going to leave my kid somewhere that might not be safe, I'm taking the kid, and I'm not asking questions.
Yeah.
You know.
Let me get my kids, man. It would seem like that's what most mothers would do, but hey, man.
I'm a father, man. I'm not a mom.
What the mama told Jody on the movie Baby Boy, said, "Mama got to have some fun too."
Sorry, I can't watch my kid. I'm about to have a threesome.
Did you see? Actually, damn, was that her? I think it is her that said, because she's like 50-something years old, and for her birthday, she had a threesome with two guys.
Oh, who was
that's
that?
her. I think that's Jody's mom on Baby Boy.
For real?
I'm like 90% sure. I just saw it yesterday.
Okay.
Somebody sent it to me on IG. That's crazy. That's
funny.
Yeah. It's one of those black moms on one of those movies, and I'm pretty sure it's her. But yeah, she was saying how she might be like, it might be 60. She's
okay.
Right? Yeah, she's up there. She was like, and it was like the best time of her life. And they were like taking turns.
Yeah, I'll respect that. I got no problem.
No, I don't have no problem.
If you're like whatever, if you're over 40 and you're like whatever, you're single, whatever you got going on, like live your life. Why not?
Under 40, I don't care.
Under 40, live your life, whatever.
Yeah, man. All right, let's go here.